burnout happens to some of the best writers I know. I've burned out a couple of times, but there's always a way. Hey, Holly, I like your fire truck. There's always a way to kind of come back from it. And there's always a way to kind of regain your passion for writing and your excitement for your business. So we're going to talk about that today. And we have a couple friends. Well, we only have one friend right now because just as usual, when you live with an ultra geriatric bear, 15 minutes before the live stream, he decided that it was time to start his day. So Bear started his day. He might be here later. Who knows? Hey, Margaret. We're also going to answer some questions. I have a couple questions that came in from Rodney and Laura. I think that's how Laura, L-O-R-A, Laura. We're going to answer those at the end. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to talk a little bit about burnout, and we're going to talk about, like, we don't want to normalize. So number one thing is we don't want to normalize burnout. Like, we don't want this to become our modus operandi, right? This is not like our normal thing. This is, hey Marie, hey Vesna, this is something that happens. It's something that when we're working really hard towards a goal and we really want something, and we are trying, we're trying a bunch of different things. We're trying to make it work. We're trying to get our freelance writing business on track, right? Hey, Sharon. We can burn out because we're trying too hard for too long and we don't take enough breaks, and we actually don't schedule enough breaks. So although we don't want to normalize burnout, we don't want that to be like, oh, this is just like a regular thing. Like, you're just going to burn out from time to time. We do want to, I do want to make it more normal that people do burn out, that freelance writers burn out. It doesn't mean the end of your career. It doesn't mean the end of all this stuff. It mostly means that, number one, you actually need to schedule rest time way ahead of time, right? So we've talked about this before on the live stream, where I have this big dry erase calendar. It's over here. And I also have my Apple calendar where I schedule all my time off for the year ahead of the year. Like, in the beginning of the year, I schedule it all off. And that helps me plan ahead. And then it also helps me plan work around it. Sometimes I do move that time off, but at least I know that it's planned and that it's scheduled. And when I really need it and when I really want to take it, I can take it. Excuse me. So we don't want to we don't want burnout to become a cycle that keeps repeating. Oh my gosh, Sharon, no way, you're moving to Texas. My best friend lives in Houston. So Houston's like 3.5 hours from Austin, where I live. So that's awesome, Sharon. That's so cool. Maybe we could get together. We don't want to meet between, well, I guess Katie is kind of between Houston and Austin, but like, there's a lot of dead space I've learned from driving Austin to Houston. So we don't want to meet in the dead space, but maybe we can meet up. Hey, Flower Power. Okay, back to my thing. So here's the deal. What we're going to do to work on recapturing our writing passion is you have to take a break. Number one, if you're feeling burned out with your business and you're tired of it and you feel like, this is something that happens to me where I'm just like really annoyed at every assignment, that's when I know I really need to have some time off. So like, when I start feeling like everything is like, there's a lot of things that are very takey, like it takes time, or it takes energy, or it takes mental capacity, or it takes away break time, or it takes too much of this, that's when I start realizing that I need to take a break, right? So if I, well, Sharon, I hope you get an offer on your house soon. I hope your house gets sold super fast. What was I saying? Oh, so when you're kind of doing this stuff, you want to make sure that you are kind of noticing the language that you're using. What kinds of ways are you talking about your writing? You're not like, ooh, I get to write this article, or ooh, I can't wait to see this thing published, or I'm really excited to start this, or this is going to be a fun project. You're like, this takes so much time. I hate doing this thing. Uh-oh, we might have a guest. Hi, Bear. Oh, hi, buddy. Did you start your day? Good job. All right, let me get you wrapped up. Careful. Ooh, sorry, me. Hi, welcome. Welcome, buddy. All right, you want to lay down? There you go. Good job. Good job, superstar. Hi, Snorkel. Why don't you lay down, Bee? Why don't you lay down, Bee? There you go. Why don't you lay down? All right, the gang's all here. Oh, would be great if like just for once I could like get them both on camera at the same time, because she's grumpy over here. She's like, oh gosh, again. And he's like, oh boy, a blanket. I love it. Maybe we'll both get him on camera. Who knows? Someday. Someday. Yeah. So that's the thing. I like what Holly says here. When things get takey, take a break. I would say that. So like if you feel like things are taking, like this is the kind of idea, right, where you fill your own cup and you have a bunch of things that make you feel energized and excited. But then when you feel like a lot of things are being taken, that's usually after your cup is already emptied. Like I remember when I really burned out badly in 2018, I remember I remember going into therapy because my anxiety was really bad at the time. And I was just like, I'm scraping the well. Like the only thing that's down there are rocks. Like there's literally no water, right? So when you feel like you're already there, you should have taken a break long before that. Like we should not get to the point where we feel like our well is completely dry. So if you feel like things are starting to be taken, or you feel like it's just draining, or you feel really exhausted, or you have physical symptoms, like sometimes when I need a break, I get like an eczema rash. I know that's kind of a little TMI, but like there are physical symptoms to burnout. So like I'll sometimes have headaches, or my scalp will be really sensitive. Or like I feel like I can't like focus, or my vision isn't very good. Like I have to reread things a bunch or something. Like there's a lot of things that are just part of being really tired. And for me, sometimes when I feel very burnt out, I end up, my skin, right, is reacting to all of my inner turmoil. So the deal is that you want to make sure that you're kind of paying attention to this language, and you want to make sure that you're kind of noticing when things are starting to feel draining rather than energizing, or when you've kind of gone past the mark. Because burnout is like way past the mark. So there's a mark that you get to where you're just like, ugh, you're frustrated and tired. And then you go beyond that, and then we get to burnout. So what we want to make sure is that we're thinking about how we talk about our work, how we think about our work, and how we think about our clients, how we're actually presenting ourselves. Like, are we actually getting after it? Are we actually, going after the things that we want, or are we kind of holding back because we're kind of tired and overwhelmed? Marie says that her symptoms is that she feels cold and then she gets a severe migraine. Yeah, sometimes I get really sick. Like sometimes I get a really bad bug, or like I get multiple bugs in a row because my immune system isn't great because, right, like you're working so much. You got to pay attention to those things. And it also comes down to your work. If you're looking at your work and you're just like, oh, my work is way shittier. Like you don't look at your work and you're like, it's not my best stuff, but I feel good about it. If you look at your work and you're like, this is not good. Like if you can evaluate your work at that level, like that's a big problem. So here's another one. Hey, Getty, welcome. Here's another one. There was a period of time where I was writing a lot of articles and I was writing a lot of content. And I could not remember the things I had written. Like I would get edits back from an editor, or I'd get edits back from a client, and I could not remember like putting the thing together. So even though I had written it and like retained information at that time, it was gone by the time I got edits. And the edits were like a few days or like a week or two later. So for me, that's a big problem, right? Like that's a big issue where you're kind of like not remembering, like you're having memory loss almost, or it's not even just memory loss. It's like you can't actually retain research or interviews or quotes or information that you need to actually write and finish things. Hello, Tiny Titan. I know you want snacks. Can you go back to your thing and then we'll do snacks in a little bit? Thanks so much. Thank you for flying Snorkel Airways. You're the best client I've ever had. There you go. All right. Good girl. All right, why don't you lay down for a little bit? Why don't you lay down? Just chill. Have a chill day. So the same thing that goes through your writing, if you're not remembering these things, or if you're trying to remember a lot of tasks for your business, right? Like even if you have a to-do list, if you forget to add things to the to-do list, or you forget to update calendar appointments or something, if you're starting to forget and your memory isn't doing very well and you're having trouble kind of doing your work and doing your day-to-day business admin tasks, that's a big problem. That's something where like you're either burnt out or you're really close to being burnt out. So you kind of lose this passion and this excitement for your business because it just feels so draining. And obviously, you're not functioning at a level where you can actually put in good quality stuff that you feel really, excited about turning in or excited about it getting published. So, although like I said, like we don't want to normalize burnout, it does happen. But when you're thinking about these things, like you have to take a break, right? I'm giving you kind of symptoms and I'm giving you kind of stuff that happens. But a lot of times I feel like when I'm talking to writers, they're veteran writers. They're writers that have been through the rigmarole for 3 to 10 years and sometimes longer. And they've just been writing for so long that they just like either got to this plateau or they're doing repetitive work that's boring, or they're like doing this burnout stuff where they're doing things that are not super exciting, not super interesting. And they're losing passion, not because it's writing, but it's the way they're going about it. It's like the processes that are in their business, or how hard they're pushing themselves, or how much, like how overworked they've become, or how like a little, like they haven't actually taken any time off. And I'm not saying, you need to go on a super vacation. Sometimes taking time off just means treating yourself to a week off. Like just take a week off. I'm telling you, no one cares about 5 business days. They don't. Like if you took 2 weeks off a year plus holidays of your choice, like winter holidays or any type of holidays, if you took 2 extra weeks off a year, that's 10 business days. Nobody cares about that. No, like you need to set boundaries with others and just tell them like, this is my time off. And the best thing about scheduling your time off at the beginning of the year is it's very easy to set boundaries with clients, right? If you really want to enforce that time off, you say, hey, I know we're starting this contract. I'm letting you know I'm going to be out this week. And like, let's say that week is a month in advance. So like, there's no pressure. You're like, sorry, like we've set the boundary. I'm taking this time off. I need it. And when you've already pre-scheduled it before you've talked to a client or like a new client, or you've pre-scheduled it in January and you go to a current client, long-term client, and you're like, hey, I'm taking this time off, like way ahead of time, it's a lot easier. And it kind of helps you not really get burned out, but it also helps you kind of like feel more excited about like rest time and getting your creativity back and being able to write better. And those things kind of all go together. The business thing too, like it can be monotonous sometimes, like send this invoice, email this client, follow up on this thing, go turn in your work, meet this deadline. Like it can be monotonous sometimes. Not often, but it can be monotonous, and you just kind of need a break just to like not be on your computer every day, or not have to participate in all of these like little things that happen every day. So I always feel like when you're thinking about getting your passion back and your excitement for your business, you have to notice your symptoms. You have to pay attention to that. You have to make sure that you're actually like planning ahead of time, that you're telling your clients, and you kind of have to give yourself a break. Like that, people want to keep moving forward all the time, but most of the time when you actually take a break, and you let your brain kind of rest for real, and you actually step away from all your stuff, you come back with so much more excitement, and so much more passion for writing and for actually working for your clients, just because you've given yourself a break instead of like, cracking the whip on yourself all the time. So I just feel like it's not that you've like lost the piece that you love about writing, and it's not just about like that you hate your business. It's the structure in which you're working in your business and the fact that you haven't pre-planned time off and actually given yourself a break. So don't beat yourself up for burning out, and don't beat yourself up because you didn't figure this out sooner, whatever. Just start setting breaks. It's only March, right? We're not even through the first quarter of the year yet. Go back and set your calendar up so that you have actual time off, okay? Put that in now so that any more projects you get during the year, you have time off. And if you need to move deadlines around or fix that, then do that. But you need to have time off, because that's really how you become, like you let your brain be creative again, right? So let's say you take time off and you watch movies that you like, or you read books that you love, or you do like you go to an art gallery, or you go for a lot of nature hikes, or you go someplace fun, or you're like filling the tank with a lot of inspiration, or you're filling the tank with a lot of cool, neat things that you can then add to your writing. And you can't add and fill the tank unless you take some rest. Like the actual trying to fill your tank and taking from your tank at the same time, you just end up getting this like really weird kind of middle ground where you're like not asleep but not awake in your business, right? And that's not going to work either. So that's kind of our first kind of clump that we're attacking here. So I hope that that part so far where we're kind of getting into it is useful. We're going to talk about 2 in a second. And if you feel like this has been helpful so far, give it a thumbs up. If you feel like you want to learn more about building a freelance writing business you adore, subscribe. I don't remember where the button is. I think it's here, but I'm not totally sure. It might be over here. It's somewhere in there. So the second thing we're going to talk about too is when we feel burnt out, right? So like when we're feeling burnout come on, right? We're feeling all those symptoms. We have headaches or hello, you look like a tiny mermaid. You have your little blanket on. You look super cute. When we feel burnout symptoms come on, you have headaches or your vision is blurry or it's hard for you to concentrate or you're feeling like you have the flu or you just hate everybody and everything and you feel like they're taking from you. Like these are things that I was not aware of. Like now I pay much more attention and I like know I need a break. Like there are times when I've burnt out after 2018 where I'm like, I knew I needed a break. So you have to like make sure that you're paying attention. Hi, Woo. Woo says she's not burnout. She loves chasing squirrels. She's like all excited about it. All right, go back to your hover hole. All right. So you have to start writing these symptoms down. Oh, sorry. You have to start tracking them and be aware of them so that you know what's going on. Like if you start looking at your work and your work doesn't look good, that's a problem, right? That's something that you can start noticing. Here you go, baby. Here you go, bud. Good job. If you start like hating all your clients or you feel like everyone's taking advantage of you or you feel like you're not getting paid enough or you start feeling bitter and resentful and you feel like everything is terrible and you're never going to make it, which is something I always go like deep into the hole of like, you're a loser. You're never going to make it. Everything about you is terrible. And when I start noticing that kind of stuff, I need to kind of pull back. So I either, every once in a while, I'll take a random day off just because I'm just like, I just want to take a day off and I'm kind of feeling negative about myself. So that's an option. But the other thing too is like paying attention to these symptoms so then you can start taking more rest time. So have you been on your phone too much during the weekends, which is something that I do? Or have you been hyper scheduling everything? Is every single day of your week super scheduled, including the weekends? Or do you have a bunch of things that are just like personal responsibilities, right? Like you have your business and then you have a ton of personal responsibilities. Or what, like what's kind of the situation that's going on where you're actually not getting deep sleep or deep rest or time off or things like that. So we're noticing our symptoms, but we're also tracking our business scheduling, like how we're actually running our business. And we're going to be tracking, hello, we're going to be tracking like what we're actually thinking while we're working, right? We're going to be thinking about like what happens when you submit something. Like when you submit something, do you want to like immediately take a break or do you feel good and you want to go to your next task, right? So a lot of times when I talk to people who like have been in the business for a while or who are just like, like there's a couple of writers who make a decent living and they're just like, I'm so done with this. I'm so done with this. And a lot of times it's like they're still working projects they shouldn't be working anymore. So this is kind of your other thing to think about is like, are you still writing blog posts and you don't want to write blog posts anymore? Like stop writing blog posts, go after bigger projects. Like you need to stretch yourself, right? I know we're talking about burnout, but some people get burnt out and lose their writing creativity because they're working on boring ass projects. They're working on things they shouldn't be working on anymore. Like they're stuck in this hole of doing like 50 blog posts a month instead of doing like 2 white papers a month. So they're like overdoing all of one type of content instead of diversifying the types of content they offer. And then there's some times where I talk to writers who are making a good living, but they just like hate everything they're doing. They actually need to move into like content strategy or marketing strategy or brand messaging or messaging and positioning or some kind of consulting role to translate all the experience and knowledge and expertise they have into high-end dollars and giving advice to people because they've already done so much groundwork. So sometimes writing burnout is just that you don't have the types of projects that you should be working on. Like you need to, actively market and select new projects, right? new and different projects instead of just accepting whatever comes in your inbox or whatever kind of stuff you see on a job board, which job boards just don't use the job boards. But we need to kind of be strategic about our move forward. So when you're thinking about your writing passion, it may just be because the projects you're working on are projects you shouldn't have. And it's also writing passion in that sometimes you get to a point where you realize, like, I'm way more valuable, right? Like, what I can offer is not just writing skills, it's analysis, or it's looking at their funnel, or it's figuring out which types of content go where, or how do we actually create an editorial calendar? How do I do a competitive analysis? How do I kind of help them with SEO? There's so many more things that you can leverage between, like, besides being just like a hired typewriter, right? There's a phase when we get started as freelance writers where we're like, I just want to write, like, give me whatever. I'm going to pitch all this stuff. I'm going to send all these stories out. I'm going to get some things published. And then after a while, you know, you're like, okay, cool. I've published a ton of stuff. I like several years, right? You're like, I've published a ton of stuff. And now I'm bored of this and I feel burnt out. And that's a lot of times because you need to go to that next level. You need to expand your business and you need to basically apply the knowledge that you've gained to new types of projects and clients, whether that's strategy or consulting or brand messaging or messaging and positioning, or you need to move on to more case studies or email drip campaigns or landing pages or whatever you like. I think that's just like the natural step. Like the natural step, sometimes people forget to take that. They're just like stuck in this vortex of doing the same thing over and over and over again. And they forget to try new things and they forget to like infuse the newness and fun types of projects and creativity and interest into their work, right? They're just like, complete the blog post, get it done. Complete the blog post, get it, right? Like they go into robot mode of like stamp, 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 stamp. And then they're like, I'm burnt out. I hate writing. No, you hate doing this. You hate doing this. So think about your burnout and your creativity and how you're actually putting things together in like how you're approaching projects and how you're actually putting things together. Like, what are you actually doing that is inspiring you to think differently or that is having you go outside your comfort zone and try different approaches? You know, we all get tired of the stamping. Like me, I get tired of the stamping all the time. Like there's times where that's what happened to me when I burned out in 2018 was like I was writing so many articles. I was averaging 20 interviews a week. And it was brutal. And I was just like, I don't think this is right for me. I don't think I should be doing this. But really, it was just how I was running my business and the types of projects I was working on rather than getting over my fears and working on things that actually made sense for my next phase of my business. It's sort of like shifting into a different gear. So we're not shifting into a different gear being like, yeah, let's like, max it out, do all this crazy shit. It's like a strategic shift into other types of projects. We're not doing the work harder. We're doing the work smarter type of stuff. Oh, woo. You got some woo on you today. Go back to your hovel. Good job. Yeah. Good job. All right. Can you go around? Around? Come on. You got to show everybody. Can you go around for everybody? Can you go around? I know. You're trying to high five. Can you do around? Come on. Around. Come on. You can do it. Around. Come on, around. Oh, we were so close. Around. Come on, Dean. Around. She can only turn, I just want to let everybody know, she can only turn left. I can't get her to turn right. So we've only worked on left so far. All right, Bear. Good job, buddy. Good job. All right, go back to your hovel hole, you sass. All right, let's wrap you up like a little burrito so you're nice and warm. You look like an Ewok. Yeah, I like that, Holly. BAPS, boring ass projects. Yeah, and that's a problem with burnout is these boring projects that people keep picking up because they're so afraid that there's not going to be more money, or they're so afraid that if they don't take this project, everything is going to burn down and they'll never find another one. So they live in scarcity instead of pushing themselves a little bit to try something new. All right, let's try high five. Good job. Other one. Good job. Good job. And that's really important. Burnout isn't just exhaustion and mental decline, basically. Burnout is also filling your cup, like getting the passion back for writing and creating. And for me, I think the most fascinating thing, and at my dorkiest childlike level, like my nerdiest thing about writing is like, I love creating something out of nothing. Like you have a blank page that you add notes and an outline. And at the end of the day, if it gets printed in a magazine or it goes up online, you created nothing. Like you, you created nothing. You've created something out of nothing. So you've created, like, from a blank page, you created this amazing thing that people want to read and that they're interested in and that helps them or that shares something new with them. And I think that's so important. Like that is my nerdiest thing. Like I just love creating something out of nothing. Like yes, I have resources, and I don't mean nothing like I stare at a blank page and like magically some fairy hits me on the head and is like, "Congratulations, your writing godmother is here. Here's the article." Poof. Like no. What I mean is like we start with a bunch of puzzle pieces and we start with this blank page and we take the puzzle pieces and we put them together to make this like mosaic artful piece of content that is just like so cool. I know that sounds super nerdy, but to me, like creating something out of nothing, if I start feeling myself not caring about that, then I know I'm having a burnout problem and I know that I'm kind of losing my compass is off. So that's something that's really important. So when we're thinking about these things, right? We want to give ourselves the chance to get back to that like childlike wonder about writing, or we want to give ourselves the chance to reimagine how our business structure works and the types of projects that we're taking on. And this is something else that I think is really important, and we're going to talk about in number 3. I have a tissue because she sneezed all over my hand and she got goop all over my fingers. Okay, so number 3 here. This is really important for number 3. So when you're thinking about re-inspiring your writing, right? I hear you, and you sneezed on my foot again. She has a little allergies today. So one of the things that I think is important is almost every writer I know, me included, has little projects that we like to do that are our creative outlets. It's not about money. It's not about publishing. It's not about bylines. It's not about anything that has a big face value. It's literally just like pouring in our creative cup, right? I have little projects, or I guess some of them are little and some of them are big, but I have projects that just fill my creativity. Like I just like to do them. So I know other writers, here you go, buddy. I know other writers who write in certain niches where they're like, I don't care. I don't give a shit about making any money in this niche. I want to write about this. So for me, sometimes that's writing about pets, obviously, these two, or this one who won't go back to her hobbit hole because she likes to bork at me and boss me around. Oh my goodness, sorry. There you go. Oops. You're beautiful. She's our boss hog. She's our boss hog. So I write about pets, right? I write about pets every once in a while, and I'm getting, I think the idea of pet insurance is a really cool niche. So, there you go. So I write about pets as a creative thing. It has nothing to do with money. It's something fun I like to do, and I don't even post most of the clips. So you have to have some kind of writing that you do to feed it. So, for example, I have students who write fiction. Holly got her first poem published, so that was really cool. Andrea's not here, but Andrea writes wonderful fiction, and she also writes nonfiction about chronic illness, which is her stuff. She has a newsletter. You should join it. Andrea Kennedy. And I know that there's a bunch of people who write about random subjects. Like some people write about gardening, or some people talk about aging parents, or some people write about a strange, here you go, buddy, a strange hobby that they have, right? And that is to fill their writing cup with inspiration. You cannot just keep writing in a bunch of niches that you hate, number one, but you have to have some kind of niches or some kind of writing or some kind of, I don't care if it's journaling, I don't care if you publish none of it. You have to have something that feeds the writer part of you too, or that feeds other curiosities that you have in your business, or that it feeds different interests. Like a lot of times I talk to writers, or I have coaching sessions with people who have made a bunch of money, right? And they're like, now I hate my business. And I'm like, yeah, well, what do you do for fun? Like, what do you do for pure writing fun? And they're like, nothing. I literally everything I do is for money. There are tons of projects that I make $0 on that I just love doing it. Like I just love participating in it. I love being included in it. I love sometimes it gets published. I love just making it. The process of making is the reward to me. Okay, so that's what you're looking for. The process of making whatever this thing is, writing wise, I don't care. I guess it could be knitting or woodworking or a hobby outside of writing. But a lot of times when people lose their writing passion, it's because they've been writing about like super technical fintech products and they're just like, I just want to write about ponies for a day. Good, go write about ponies, please. Like, it doesn't have to be about money. Sometimes it's just fun. It's okay to put fun back in your business. Your business is supposed to be fun. That's the thing. It's like you have to get your inspiration from a bunch of different places and you have to keep feeding the inspiration, right? So we have these things, like every writer has them. Not there's no writer that like purely loves only technical stuff and there's nothing random or creative, right? Like there's no writer that just like solely wants to write like 10,000 page documents that are for the government and they have no other hobbies or interests. Like everybody has some weird hobby, some weird interest, or some unique type of thing about them that you need to feed more often so that you feel like you're giving kind of lifeblood to other parts of your business. So for example, there's times where I write a lot about apps, or I write a lot about technology, or I write about processes and systems, or I write about technical things like loans or insurance or stuff like that, right? And that can be very draining because it's very heavy and technical and you have to make sure it's right because you're giving people advice that they then are going to apply and like it's a thing. So you have to be careful with that stuff, right? And there has to be a piece hold on. There has to be a piece that feeds like this fun, wild, kind of like creative part of you. And I'm not saying it has to be something like, it can be anything. I don't care if you go fishing. It has to be some kind of unstructured playtime. So think of it that way. What you need is unstructured playtime. I don't care if that's writing a novel, writing poetry, writing a newsletter, or playing on social media and putting up, trying different posts, or you like to walk your dogs, or you like to give your dogs lots of snacks, or like you want to write about different types of pet things, or I don't know. Here you go, buddy. I don't care. You have to find something. And this will put a lot of juice back into your business because it's like a freedom project. It's like there's less rules, there's less pressure to make money, there's less on the table. It's just something that you like to do, right? And it could be writing or not. Most of the time for writers, it's other types of writing. But you have to have something in there where you at least, if not, like for me, it's kind of weekly or daily. So if you have something daily or weekly that you can do that kind of lets you be more free instead of always having to respond to the brief or always having to follow all these rules or always having to blah, blah, blah. Like it gives you more wiggle room and it lets you kind of like take a deep breath and relax a little bit. And most of the time when I talk to writers, like this is a thing, like I talk to writers and like they get to a certain point and there's this phase, right? Where you go from like, I just love writing. Someone's going to pay me to write. Then you get to a phase where you're like, okay, I've done like 500 articles. I'm so done with this. Like I need a new phase, right? This is part of that new phase. You need other things to put in your business. So you get past like the sparkly eyed view of like, I'm getting paid to write. You get to this point where you're like, okay, I got paid to write already. Now I need to do something like more expansive or something different or something new or something interesting. That's where we're kind of fighting burnout or fighting writing fatigue or we're fighting non-inspirational times, right? These kinds of things are letting you know that you need to expand out of your comfort zone. You get past this little phase, right? You get past the initial phase. And then even if you've made like, there's times where people make 6 figures and they're like, yeah, but like, you know, I don't want to do any of this stuff. It's like, yeah, you need to add something in. You need to do something that's just fun, for pure fun, unstructured playtime. And that helps you work on other parts of your business. That helps you get new ideas. That helps you like relieve the pressure, which I think is really important. Okay. I like Holly's woot woot. Let's talk about 4 here. So we're going to do number 4, and then we're going to do questions. So this is our last thing. Then we're going to do Laura and Rodney's questions. So number 4 here. If you feel like this has been helpful so far, give it a thumbs up. If you feel like you want to learn more about building a freelance writing business you adore, no overwhelm, no burnout, subscribe. All right, let's talk about this. So when we're moving beyond our current level, that's the important piece here. We're moving beyond our core schedule, not our corn schedule. We're not shucking corn here. When we're moving beyond our core schedule, what we kind of want to do is a review. So review your deadlines. Review the past 6 months. Have you been submitting a ton of things? Have you been, like dealing with a health issue and haven't been taking time off? That's something else that I've talked to writers about, is like they end up with chronic health issues and then they don't, they physically can't work because they've gone way beyond what the realm of necessity is, right? So you have to think about what's been kind of going on. You have to monitor your schedule. So you're monitoring the back half of your schedule, the past 6 months. Yeah, corn. Yeah, it has the juice. Yeah. You're going to monitor the back half of your schedule, like the past 6 months. What's been going on? What are you working on? What things have been actually been transpiring in your business? How many appointments have you had? How many deadlines have you had? Are you actually working in niches and on projects that are interesting? Did you take time off? Do you have things that are filling your cup? What's going on? We take that information and now we're going to apply it to the next 6 months to a year. What types of projects do I want to have in the next 6 months to a year? What are the best niches to find those projects? Like B2B does a lot of case studies, right? Or technical places, like people with technical products do a lot of white papers. So we need to kind of start building our framework and our brain work, our framework and brain work on who are we going to be reaching out to and what types of things are we going after. And this can take 6 months to a year to like stop doing one thing and start doing another, right? Because you have to still get paid and make money and phase things out and phase things in. So you need to look at how you're going to play it out. Do you have too many calendar appointments? Do you have too many things? Are you not getting paid enough and you feel like you need to raise your rates? Do you need to add a project in that you love or a hobby that you love? Yes, hello? Do you need to kind of rethink how you're running your day-to-day business because you're not organized? A lot of times burnout can come from disorganization too, is that nobody has, framework makes the brain work. Like nobody has a system, right? So what ends up happening is instead of using a Dubsado or an Asana or organizing their Apple Calendar, Google Calendar, whatever, people end up just becoming all over the place. And the fact that they're all over the place all the time is just exhausting. So then they become burnt out by trying to get everything all over the place all the time. I have to cough. So do you need to fix organization in the next 6 months? Do you need to schedule more time off? Do you feel like, let's say you've been writing for 5 years and you haven't taken any time off, like you've taken essentially no time off. Do you need to schedule more time off? And I can tell you this, like if you're one of those people that's like, no, I can't, I have to make money all the time. Like 5 business days does not matter. If you take 3 weeks, I don't care if you took a month. If you take a month, 4 weeks throughout the whole year, that's such a small period of time. If you think of it this way, you could take 4 weeks off. Yes, Woo, go back to your hobble hole. Go back to your hobble hole. If you take 4 weeks off throughout the entire year, right? Go back to your hobble hole, you sass. All the way to your hobble hole. If you take 4 weeks off a year, you could work all the rest of the weekends of the year if you so chose. So if you really wanted to take 4 weeks of vacation, or if you wanted to take all this time off, you can do that. You just have to pre-schedule. So here's another good example. Oops. Here you go, buddy. Here's another good example. Last year, I took off a month between December and January, and this year I took 3 weeks in addition to my other time off. And that was just pre-planning. A lot of times writers are just like on this hamster wheel. They don't look ahead. They don't even look 1 month ahead. They're like, I have work for the next 2 weeks. I'm fine. Nope, you're not. You got to plan way further out. And you got to get off the hamster wheel and actually have like a vision for where you're going. So when I took a month off, that was something I had planned out a year in advance. Like I had already scheduled my work. I already told, I told my clients I'm going to be off until this time. It's a good time of the year because people take different amounts of time off during that, like during the winter holidays. Like some people are the week before, Christmas and Hanukkah and all the stuff. And then some people take the weeks after. So like it balances really well. And here you go. And it was just pre-planning. And I'm telling you, like, if you really wanted to work yourself to the bone, you could do that. And you could still take 4 weeks off throughout the whole year if you really wanted to do that. You don't have to, but it's just such a pre-planning activity that allows you to take this time off. Like, think about it this way. It's not like this short end, like work, get paid, work, get paid, work, get paid. It's like, okay, in July, I'm taking 2 weeks off. How much marketing or how many projects or how much income do I need to have by July so that I just tell my clients I take those 2 weeks off and I'm still getting paid on my regular work, right? Now it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, right? Like I have 2 weeks off in July. I have plenty of time to marketing at clients. I have plenty of time to plan my financials. And I have all this stuff that's available to try new things or put in a new type of writing or whatever. It's just the vision to look further ahead. You have to make sure that you're actually doing that and planning work around it. It's not work on like a weekly or monthly basis. That's way too short. That's what happened to me in 2018 was I was always on this like week by week basis. And then I never could take time off because it was so short. But once I started realizing I need to plan 6 months ahead and I need to plan my time off at the beginning of the year and schedule everything around it, when you're scheduling work around time off, you're still making money, right? You're just have all these other projects going on that either come in before or after. It's not like you lose money by not working. It's that by pre-planning, you already have projects in place, right? You have projects that have paid you before you went on vacation or after you go on vacation. There's money coming in. This is also about savings. This is also about paying attention to your financials and actually pocketing money so that you can take time off, right? Which is not always easy, which can be really difficult sometimes. But it's really important to think forward like that. It's really important to kind of put all of your put all of your brain juice into giving yourself opportunities to succeed and then giving yourself opportunities to fill your cup and creating more creative or hobby or unstructured playtime opportunities for you to get your writing back, like the things that you like to do, and then also avoid burnout. That's really important. Like, I think too many writers focus too much on like, I have to make money from my writing. And it's honestly just like, you have to get this situation. That's how I ended up with the big dry erase calendar. It's on Amazon. I've linked to it in other videos, but I'll link to it in this one too. I have a big dry erase Amazon calendar. It helps me plan my whole year. Then I have my Apple calendar that helps me on a weekly/daily basis. And I have exactly what Marie says. I have I have alarms on my calendar all the time. Woo! And things go off and I do all my projects, but that's only on a week by week basis. I also have things already planned off and blocked off on my dry erase and then for my regular calendar. So you have to think about, how am I going to reorganize my calendar and my schedule? How am I, go back to your hobble hole. Do you want to say hello? Hello, everyone. I'm Woo. I like to bark at Mandy while she does stuff. It's me. Good job. Good job. Good job, Woo. So you have to think further ahead. You have to think further ahead for where that time off is coming. And honestly, like, this is part of something that I think is important too, is everything is kind of in transition. So for me, when I first started out, like everybody else, it was articles and blog posts and small projects, which eventually turned into bigger projects because I was planning further ahead. I was realizing kind of where I wanted to go and what types of projects. So as I maybe worked on a ton of blog posts and articles in February, by the time July came, I maybe had a case study or I had one white paper. So I was beginning the transition, right? And those are things that are really important. You have to begin the transition. You have to plan time off. And you have to build these things into your business, weave them into your schedule. And that's how you get away from like feeling depleted or feeling like everything's terrible, or feeling like, you know, you're never going to win, or just like getting out of the hole of burnout. It's giving yourself a bunch of juice, and with planning and with review and with analyzing your schedule. Yeah. So yeah, whether you have paper, I like my dry erase calendar because paper calendars don't work for me, but the dry erase and like my digital calendar works. But if you have a paper calendar or however you like to track time on a big picture basis, you need a big picture calendar and a small daily, weekly kind of calendar. So those things kind of work together in terms of burnout, time off, structuring things. But yeah, like remember, like these things are important to review your schedule, plan, and remember that things are in transition. So it'll take a little while to kind of switch things, but you need to pay attention to that. It's not just like you just land a white paper project and you're like, I've done it. Like it's a transition to finding where are the white paper projects for you, or where are the giant project, whatever that is, email marketing, landing pages, copywriting, websites, whatever. Where is that for you? That's important. All right, let's do questions, people. What do you think about that? Do you want to tell everybody? You want to tell everybody about it? Your butt's all up on the little bolster there. You're not even like sitting in it. You're like sitting on it, on the side of it. Oh, hold on, Bear. Bear, you look great today. You're having a great day. Here you go. Good job. Bear was a little chilly today, so he was double blanketed before, but now he only has the one. There he is. All right, let's talk about questions. So, question from Rodney. Rodney's question is, what mindset do you believe it takes to be a successful freelance writer? So, great question. And I'm gonna try to put a card in here for the first time to a different video, but I did a video on this. I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but I just did a video on the mindset that you need to become a successful freelance writer. So let me go check it. It's called The Right Mindset to Find High Quality, High Paying Freelance Writing Clients. So I did that like 3 months ago. Okay, so it was further back than I thought, but that was something that's really important. So the right mindset to find high quality, high paying freelance writing clients. It's a video on you can just go search my videos. It's in there. And that goes over this in depth. So I'm going to link that in the thing. Maybe I'll be able to put a card in here. We'll figure it out. Sometimes I'm not very tech savvy, but the deal is that when you're a successful, do you want to be a successful writer? You have to bork at everybody. When you're becoming a successful freelance writer, you have to think of yourself as you're not like here you go. You're not like putting up advertisements like Honda. You're not just like saying like, get this super reliable car and you see ads everywhere. You're the Lamborghini. You are like looking for a very specific type of client and a high-end client. So you need to think of your business the same way as like the reason why you don't see like Lamborghini ads on TV, right? That's not where their clients are. You have to kind of think of yourself as a high-end service, and you have to think of yourself in terms of like the value that you're offering is so long. So the first part is like you are like a high-end performance vehicle. Like your content and the things that you're offering and the quality of your content should be a high-end performance vehicle. And the second part of that is like your content. So this is a concept that like took me years to learn, and I don't know why it took me so long. But the deal is that your content lives like forever, way beyond the time that you work for your client. So your client is continuing to get web traffic, SEO, leads, sales, all this stuff. So if you write an article or you wrote a ton of content and your client ends up making $10 million and they only paid you $100 for that article, that's a big problem, okay? That's a big problem. Your content lives and provides so much more value than is told to freelance writers. This is the difference between a lot of people who end up getting paid very low rates for their work and the people who actually understand the value. Like even if you got paid, $1,000 or $2,000 for that article, that pales in comparison to the leads and sales and traffic and stuff that they're going to get for years and years and years. And here you go, buddy. And There's also a video that I did in my channel that is about an article making $15 million. There's one article that a pool company put up that brought in $15 million of sales, okay? This one article that was created was $15 million. Do you get a percentage of the $15 million? No, you don't. But that article keeps bringing them sales and leads and web traffic and SEO and brand awareness and maybe speaking opportunities or more clients than they can handle, or like major placement on lists of high growing businesses. Like, the deal is that you have to remember you're offering a high end, really good content service. You're not just you're not just a hired hand to write something. That's not how this works. The person who ends up thinking of themselves as just a writer, they're the ones that often fail. The ones who are like, I provide high quality content for these types of businesses, or you say something like, I am I'm a freelance content marketing writer who works with fintech and B2B startups to help them create content strategy, white papers, case studies, and email drip campaigns, right? Like, you have to think of yourself as the high-end Lamborghini business, and you have to remember that the lifespan of your content is way longer. It lives so much longer. Like, there are still articles that I have written that are still up on my clients' sites or like publications, right? And it's still driving traffic. It's still something that brings in people to their website, even though I don't work with them anymore, right? That's something that the longevity of it and the piece of, like, it's not just one piece of content. It's not a transaction. It's like you're giving them the opportunity to get the things that they want, which is SEO, website traffic, brand awareness, sales, thought leadership, whatever, clicks, shares, likes, subscribes, yada, yada, right? That's the opportunity that you're giving them. So the mindset video that I have that I told, that I said at the beginning, which now I forgot what it's called again, the right mindset to find high quality, high paying freelance writing clients, that goes over it more in depth. But the two major things is your Lamborghini business, your high performance vehicle business, and your content lives a long time, which means anytime you think about underpricing yourself, you're in transaction mindset. You're like, this is just one article, so one transaction. If you think about the lifetime, oh, you sneezed on my leg again. If you think about the lifetime value of your content and how long it lives on a website or the internet, or how long people pass out your brochures at trade shows and get sales, and how much money they can make, you will never underprice your services. Like, you will understand the value. And the other thing is, like, there's only one writer I've met in 10 years who like grossly overcharged. Like, this was something crazy. I forget exactly what it is, but I have a different YouTube video about it, where they had like $30,000 for like 4 blog posts a month or 8 blog posts a month. I forget what it is, but I remember it being a crazy amount of money. And I talked about this on Ed Gandia's podcast, where it was just like insanity. No one's going to pay you $30,000 for 4 blog posts a month. Like, that's not the deal. Someone will pay you a good chunk of money for content strategy or idea space or messaging, positioning, branding, like strategy, consultative type stuff, but not blog posts. Okay, so I hope that was helpful, Rodney. And then we have Laura's question. Oh, it's right in the middle of my face. All right, Laura says, here you go, Bear. Here you go, buddy. There you go. Snacks for everyone. Laura says, I love working with people who are heart-centered and passionate about what they do, people who genuinely want to help clients. Where do I find companies like that? I have a lot of skills, but I don't think I can ever be an employee at an agency again. I definitely, agencies, just as an aside, agencies are people-based. So like for me, I don't work with a lot of agencies, but there's some writers who work with a ton of agencies. I think that's based on your personality. So people-based, like it's based on if you like that. Do you have suggestions? I know you say to go after companies with a decent budget, but aren't they mostly corporate? No, I work mostly with startups. Like I mostly work with Series B, Series C startups. I do work with Series A and seed startups too, but most of my clients are Series B and Series C startups. And they're not corporate, like at all. So the deal is that when you're thinking about these things, for me, I like startups for exactly this reason. They are passionate and interested, and they want to move forward, and they genuinely want to create something new and different to help people. That's why they're a startup. They came up with this idea, and they got to Series A, B, C, or they got seed funding because they were able to prove to other investors that their thing has a unique place in the market, that it is solving a unique problem and it's serving a unique audience, right? That's just part of it. But they actually care about it very much. And they are really interested in creating content to let everybody know about it, right? So it's just the budget thing. So your startups, right? Your startups are going to be 3 to 10 million at least, if not 20 to 50 million for your B and C startups. But yeah, at least 3 to 10 million for startups and at least 5 to 50 million for like regular businesses. But those regular businesses are not always corporate. One of the things that I think is important here is this is not about being an employee. That's something that you can suss out on a client call. This is something where you need to have more. I'm going to delete some of this so that I can make it smaller. So I know that, there we go. Oops. I know that it seems like it could be very corporate, but it really isn't. Like, you're sussing things out on a client call about why are you creating this content? How do you see it affecting your audience? What are the pieces? It's not just like they're creating content for content's sake, which it happens at a lot of corporations, but they're actually explaining the purpose and the need and the use and the audience factor and the helping part, right? This is more about connecting with the right clients and saying no more often. Like, this isn't about just having corporate, like giant corporations, like you go to like a giant Fortune 500 company, and it's just like tons of bureaucracy. There are Fortune 500 companies that are great to freelance for, but this is sussing out who you're working with, their attitude toward the content, and getting this information on a client call. You do your regular marketing. It's honestly like it's not a where to find them. It's sussing it out on a call. So you do your regular marketing, you make your list, cut it down by revenue, send your LOIs, your letters of introduction, right? And then whoever gets back to you, you respond and you have a call with them and you talk about their content. Then you suss out from that call, is this a fit for where I want to go or not? This is how I started doing it in my business, was like, I got really tired of this, like, oh, we're basically just creating content for content's sake. Like, this was something that I got kind of stuck in for a little bit. And I wanted to work more with people who were like really interested in serving their audience and really cared about helping their audience complete something, do something, get to a new level, or fix something in their lives. Here you go, buddy. So this was something, like, I have a video too about questions on a client call, and I can link that below too, but it's on my channel, of questions to ask on your client call. But this isn't like you magically stumble upon companies that do this. Like, you might because of their website, right? You read their website before you send an LOI, but most of the time you're sussing it out on a call. So you make your list, right? And then you're getting your responses for your LOIs. And the where is more like what do you see? It's not a where, it's a what. Where, like, what is this content for? What is it doing for the audience? Why? What's the purpose of it? Or like, why are you creating it? How are we going to create it? What's the longevity? Like, where do you see it going? So a lot of times I think this is an idea that freelance writers kind of get confused with. They're like, these companies are just hiding. They're like, I'm just not finding them. They're just hiding out there. And they're looking for a where in terms of like a website or a job board, or where are they living, right? And you actually don't know. You don't know until you talk to someone. You have to actually talk to someone at the company. Don't do this through email, right? And now we have Zoom. We have Zoom calls all the time so that you can suss people out, right? And I feel like for me, I used to get so nervous, like nervous to the point where like my throat would be so dry. I would have to constantly drink water while I was on a call with someone. But you do enough of these client calls and it becomes very apparent which clients are right for you and which aren't. And the more you do these calls, the easier it is to identify who your clients are. And it's not like a high pressure sales call. It's just like, hey, let's check each other out. Like, tell me what's going on. Let's talk about this project. Feel out their, like, basically their vibe of the project, and feel out like what are their actual purpose of this thing. And it's not like it's only hidden in the fact that you have to have calls. Like, it's the people aspect of it. Like, who are you working with and how is that going to go? So I always feel like this is a backwards idea that people think there's like a where to find them. Like, where are they hiding, or where are these amazing clients? Like, you have to do the work. If you want the diamonds, you got to dig for them. Okay. That's the thing, is it's not that there's like a place that you're missing. It's that you have to dig to find the diamonds. You have to do the work if you want the diamonds, which means making a list, cutting it by revenue, sending your LOIs, and then being very particular about who you take on as a client. And the more LOIs you send and the more calls you get on and the more familiar you get with who's a good ideal client for you, now we have more opportunities because we've sent more LOIs and gotten on more calls. So now we get to be super picky about the diamonds we take on. We want to have so many opportunities on our plate from marketing or from inbound leads like LinkedIn or your website that we get to pick and choose what projects we work on. That allows us to only work with diamonds and only work on specific types of projects that really make sense for us. This is like, you have a bunch of projects and you're like, do I want to work on this? No. And then you can either refer it to someone else, or you can just, tell them you're not the right writer for them. But the deal is like, you have to dig to find the diamonds. The other part here is like, if you meant where in terms of niches, that is something that you have to figure out on your own. So the niche part is like, what types of businesses do you want to work with? Like, what types of companies? Are they fintech, or are they, mental health, or are they prop tech, or are they travel? That's a piece that you have to figure out in terms of your own personal knowledge, experience, expertise, right? And that piece is something where you're going to figure out what niches you're working in. Then you're going to do the same process, right? You're going to do the same process of like, make your list, cut it down, send your LOIs, get on the call, find your ideal clients. And the other piece is that every single niche, right? Every niche and every place on everything in the planet has these clients. Every niche has these. Every niche has clients that are super passionate, super interested in their audience, want to help their clients, which is their audience. Every niche has them. You just have to go find them. So figure out the niche part. That's the where, right? That's part of the where. And then dig around for the diamonds. That's the important part. Learn who your ideal clients are. Learn like what are some green lights for you and what are some red lights? What are some phrases that they say that you're like, this is definitely a fit, or phrases that they say where you're like, I'm out of here. All of that kind of analysis is really important here. Okay. I hope that this has been helpful. If it's been helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you want to learn more about building a freelance writing business you adore, subscribe. I just want to end on one last thing. Burnout happens, okay? We don't want to normalize it. Remember, we don't want to normalize burnout, that this is something that we do all the time. We're like, oh yeah, this is just my burnout phase. We don't want to do that. It's not like all the time I burned out, I was like, that was a good idea. It happens, and we don't want to beat ourselves up. We want to learn how to fix it for next time. We want to learn how we can better protect our writing creativity or our writing jazz, and then also how we can protect our love for our business. Your burnout is a learning opportunity, not a self-flagellating opportunity. Okay. So burnout happens. We want to reduce it as much as possible. And we want to make sure that we're injecting cool stuff into our business that we're actually interested in. Transition over time, plan ahead, get a big picture calendar and a weekly calendar, get your time off ahead of time. And really look for stuff that gives you more planning space, or clients that are not I need it in 24 hours. Give yourself more planning space. What do you think? Did we do a good job today? You're like, I don't know. I just want snacks. Can you go back to your hover hole? Go back to your hover hole. Here you go, buddy. Can you give everybody a high five? Oh, good job. Close enough. Good job. All right, we're here every single Friday at noon Central Time. If you haven't picked up my free pricing guide that I updated a little while ago, it has all different types of writing projects plus a bunch of content strategy packages. So you go to mandyellis.com/pricing guide. You can pick it up for free. And if you want to be like Rodney and Laura and ask a question or have a topic, go to mandyellis.com/question, and I will answer it just like Rodney and Laura's on here. And we'll go from there. And if you want it to be a topic for a video, you want more than a quick answer, you want a big topic, just let me know when you submit the question. All right, I hope everybody has a good weekend. I hope everybody avoids burnout and gets some rest. Do something fun this weekend. Do something fun that fills your cup. And something that maybe like helps you get outside and get some fresh air or some sunshine, or something that makes you feel like revitalized. You're welcome, Flower Power. Flower Power says, this is super applicable to where I am in my work journey right now. Awesome. I'm glad that it was on point. All right. I'm glad that this was helpful, and I will see you guys next Friday. Bye.